What's up, Horror Fiends? It's your boys at Horror Fiend TV. Plus, we got a very special guest tonight. If you want to know what we're talking about, you already know.
It's truly frightening.
This is
Because you're home.
oh man, I got this. They love me too. Yeah.
What's up? What's up? Happy New Year! Horror Fiend TV. We are back. You're watching the Three Corners of Horror, our live review of Nosferatu, the film that just came out on Christmas. That was awesome. Who watched this? Who watched this on Christmas? If you watched it on Christmas Day, I envy you. I kind of wanted to go watch it. I had tickets, but I had to cancel those plans, unfortunately. But here we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Ricky Van. I'm gonna introduce to you first our very special guest. Her name is Linz. She has a great YouTube channel for all types of horror content reviews. If you want to go check her out, LindzCzar is the name of her channel. Linz, welcome to Horror Fiend TV again. I'm sorry we never met before. You were here before already, but this is my introduction to you. Welcome. How you doing today?
Good. Hello, hello. Good to be back. Thank you guys for having me. Super excited to talk about Nosferatu. It's almost rolls off the tongue, and he is finally here. So, cheers.
He's here. Cheers. And my man, JR, the villain. What's up, brother? How are you?
Good. So before we go in depth, let's get a little backstory about Nosferatu in comparison to Stoker's Dracula. Now, if you don't know about it by now, this film came out, the original Nosferatu came out in 1922. In 1897, Bram Stoker dropped the Dracula novel. Now, they did not have the rights to create a Nosferatu film. F.W. Marno was the name of the director, who basically was the man behind the camera as far as making them Nosferatu, which ironically 2 years later, they did a knockoff of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but that family did not sue him because they were not aware of the copyright laws. Then, to top it off, when the Stoker widow, Florence Stoker, found out that this film was made, she sued the company for basically not to create this film because they violated copyright laws. Now, the court actually ordered the company to destroy all the Nosferatu copies, which obviously they did not. And the reason she wanted to destroy it because she was a widow and she lived off the royalties of Bram Stoker's novel, that she was fearful that this film would take away from her royalties. She then sold the film to the guy's name, I got it right here, apologies, his name was Hamilton Dean, who wrote a play based on Dracula.
Who?
And he eventually sold the copyrights to the novel and the play to Universal Studios, who they filmed Bela Lugosi's Dracula. But prior to that, they bought the copyrights to Nosferatu. So Universal Studios fucking won. See what big film company does? They take every right away. But besides that, yeah, let's get going. I'm dying to sink my teeth into this one because, hey, was it a worthy remake or should we just go back to 1922?
Nice. Thanks, man. Good setup. Good setup. I appreciate that. Good to get a little background going into this film. A lot of younger fans not aware of the meek and murky history that this franchise has. And of course, the man, last but not least, I promise you, Joe, you're still the man. My brother from another mother, my beer brother, Joe the psychologist. What's up, brother?
Not much. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I mean, this was on my list of once I knew it was coming out that we had to definitely do. So starting off the year right.
Yeah, awesome. So let's get the show started. All right. We're gonna start with our special guest today, obviously. We always start with the guests. Linz. So let's just go around the room. Initial thoughts first, what you thought of the movie, any expectations you had going in. Did they meet him? Were let's just give us your initial thoughts on it before I say too much. I don't want to step on your toes.
Sure. Well, where to start? There's so much to talk about for this one. I will say I went into this with really high expectations, and they were met, I would say. I wouldn't say that they were exceeded, but it definitely didn't fall short, which is a huge positive for me. There's obviously a lot of buzz going on around this movie. lots of opinions, and I guess I can get into it a little bit more. But those were my initial thoughts. Well, my initial reaction was that I really did like it, but you'll have to come back to me for some more details.
We'll get back to you. Joe, I'm gonna throw it to you, Joe. What's your first initial thoughts on this one?
I'm probably not gonna be the only person to say this. I probably would have shaved off 20 minutes on the movie. Because
Joe's getting right into it. Let's go, my man. My man.
I mean, well, here's the thing. I was looking forward to it, and I woke myself up with a snore, so that's not a good sign. And I went to the movies also without having drunk the night before. So I was nice and refreshed with enough sleep to see it, and I fell asleep at a certain point. But then I was awake. Other than that, you know, everything else it was beautifully shot, which was I was expecting from Eggers. I mean, if it wasn't, that would have been a huge letdown. Great cast. I mean, I'm a huge Aaron Taylor Johnson fan, so getting to see him do something else besides some superhero or supervillain or action role was kind of refreshing. But yeah, as a whole, I mean, and Bill Skarsgård knocked it out as Orlok.
Orlok. Speaking of Orlok, JR. What up, son? Give us your thoughts, bro.
Well, all right. So Joe says you should knocked off 20 minutes. I say that this film has so much plot holes that they could have actually did a trilogy out of this to give us more, because there was a 2-hour and 12-minute film. If you stood there watched the trailers, felt like you were in the theater for like 3 hours. But I feel like there was so much still left in the coffin that didn't really come out, that at times it kind of dragged itself a little bit in certain points in the film, that I think if they would have either did a two-part or a trilogy to this film, I think it would have been more of a homage, and I think they would have been just a lot better, because there is so much information in this film, and unfortunately I think originally it was supposed to be 3 hours and they cut it down to 2 hours and 12 minutes. So that tells you
that version's out, or it's gonna be coming out.
Yeah, and that tells you how much of the story was left out because they had to crunch all this. But I'll get a little deeper into it. Was I disappointed with it? No. I mean, I like Robert Eggers. I mean, The Witch is one of my favorite horror films, and he has this habit of doing timed pieces. I mean, he had The Witch, he had The Lighthouse, he had The Northman. Now this one, there's 4 timed pieces he did, which, like Joe said, beautifully shot. I mean, one scene I'm sure we all agree on, that's probably one of the most beautiful scenes in the whole film, is where he's walking down the dark road, the moonlight's coming through and the snow's coming down.
You mean Thomas?
Thomas, yes.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful scene.
That was gorgeous. The framing on that shot.
Oh my God, that was. I'll be honest, it got my indie filmmaker, jittering. I was like, man, I would love to create shots.
The leading lines were everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to get more in depth and see what everybody thought about this film.
Yeah, same here. I wasn't disappointed overall. Again, like Lynn said, my expectations were pretty high on this film. I did leave kind of like, okay, I got what I got, but I kind of was a little bit like, damn, but I kind of wish they did this or did that or shaved this off, or I just felt like I wasn't satisfied. Now again, it's my first watch, so I don't want to. My opinion today might change later, because I need to see a movie more than once to really get down and deep dive, into all the the little nook and crannies of every single scene in this film. Because there's a lot of stuff in it that it happens so fast, or it transitions quickly to the next scene. But I'm still thinking about what I just saw, because like, wow, that was a great scene, a great shot. But then it's just one of those films that, at the 2-hour mark, man, it feels like, damn, this movie's still going. And then the worst is when you could tell this. I know there's a lot left, man, because there's still so much like story to get into, and you don't want to leave nothing unresolved, man, especially not for a film like this. You're probably not gonna get a sequel for it. So yeah, we'll get into that a bit more. Let me just get into the comments real quick. We got some people here showing some love. Hey guys, hi Linz, that's from Adam. What up, Adam? What's up, brother? How you doing? And Diana Gabriel, hello. What's up? What's up? What's up? Selena V, hi fellas, welcome to the channel, Linz. I'm excited to talk about this movie. All right, Lexi, hey, devilishly handsome and beauty. Can't stay because I haven't seen the film yet, but have fun, y'all. definitely go check it out. Though. I recommend you
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a movie you gotta see in the theater though. It's gorgeous. Jr. Thank you for the backstory. That's from Selena. She appreciates that. Bye. La la la. Not listening. No spoilers for me. I'm excited. It was a little too long for my liking. Definitely left me with some questions. All right. Well, let me make sure it's everybody. Okay. So, all right. We talked about. All right, so let's get into everything else that, other than initial thoughts, stuff that we liked and disliked about the film. You know, Linz, I'm gonna start with you with that. I know you got some stuff to say. So let's hear it.
Always. So, like you guys were kind of saying, it's obviously been a little bit polarizing, but the one thing everybody agrees on is that just visually it's stunning. It's a masterpiece. I really, really like the techniques they used here, and I really would not expect anything less from Eggers. Like the use of shadows to obscure details. I love how it went in and out of black and white, especially with the scenes involving the vampire. And then even when it was in color, the colors were almost muted. It really did kind of evoke a certain emotion, almost like decay, like dread. You really felt that he was coming. So I think that Eggers created the perfect atmosphere to tell this gothic tale in, and hats off to him. But I also just love him in general. I love how he sticks to historical accuracy a lot of the times. I know that's not big for a lot of people, but it is for me. So like the costumes were really cool here. The setting was really cool, and I really like how the characters spoke and how they delivered the dialogue. I will say some people were a little bit upset that the actors didn't have German accents, because after all, you probably wouldn't know it was in Germany. If you didn't know that beforehand, it was almost like seemed like it could be set in London.
1838, right? This took place.
Yeah, the
it
1830s.
It was
so-
Germany. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and so I just feel like how they talked emulated the time period. I'm one of those people, if I go to the movie and I'm watching like a time period piece and something seems out of place, the first thing I'll do when I leave is look up online. Would this really happen in the 1830s? That was like the first thing I did with Gladiator 2. I was like, would sharks be in the Colosseum in the Roman Empire? No. Anyways, so, I really appreciate that Eggers seemed to be pretty accurate, and I didn't expect anything else from him. And I also really appreciate his meticulous approach here. Like, you can tell every single scene was crafted really meticulously by him, and you can tell that he kind of put his heart into this movie. And even if you don't like the movie, you can at least appreciate that, and I really appreciate that. I do have criticisms of it for sure. I do think that I do think they did rely a little bit on aesthetics, that they overlooked a couple things, like you guys were saying, a little bit of plot gaps. But in general, when I compare this to other horrors, like, it really stands out. Or just like movies from last year, you think about like the most unique ones, you're like, this is definitely one that stands out. And of course, that's a testament to basically the atmospheric quality of it. So that was obviously my favorite part of it.
Yeah. Joe the psychologist, bro. What's good?
No, I mean, I'm gonna back up what she said. I mean, I love the costumes. I will say, unfortunately, I just finished watching because it was the holidays, so I had watched Scrooged, the with Albert Finney, the Albert Finney one where they sing, and so when they all started walking through the town, I did feel like I was kind of in London.
Wait a minute.
And I was waiting for like Christmas carolers to come out of nowhere.
Dude,
I got taken out for a second because of that shit.
that scene, the scene where Thomas is walking, right, and he walks into he walks into that inn, I believe it was. He's looking for somewhere to stay, right? And everyone's staring at him. You got that one guy just grilling him, duping the guitar. There's one guy, the guy in the front, that's just staring at him. He was this weird, like, amalgamation of JR and Joe. He looked, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this motherfucker. It looks like if you took JR and Joe and put them together, like, when you watch it again, watch. Watch that scene. Look for that guy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would forget if I didn't pick it up, bro.
But yeah, that was like the one thing, like in the beginning, and I like to be focused on a movie, and when I see a scene or something, it throws me off, because yes, it was supposed to be taking place in Germany, but it did in some places look Londonish. So I kind of on that, and like I said, it was only because I just watched something that took place in London, with people walking the street singing, and I'm like, well, are they gonna start singing, Christmas carols right now? And I'm like, wait, he did drop it on Christmas. How cool would it have been if it would have been on, Christmas time? But as far as like critique wise, the same thing. Like I knew what it was based on. I mean, I can't remember the exact name of it. Something Vampire, which was the other remake of
Shadow of the
Nosferatu.
Vampire.
No, Shadow of the Vampire was
12
the
hours.
making of Nosferatu. But there was a movie in between there where Carl Kinski played Nosferatu.
Maybe I think it's the 12 hours.
Not the Willem Dafoe movie. You're
Not
talking
the
about
William
prior
Dafoe
to
one.
that,
Yeah, that's
prior
what I'm
to
saying.
that.
So there's other
Gotcha,
ones,
yeah, yeah. I
and
know,
like
yeah.
even when they were on the boat, I told Adam, I'm like, okay, so if you can just remember the Voyage of Demeter, that'll fill all this in for you right now. We just saw the Voyage of Demeter, so when they're on the boat and you knew what was going on, because if you saw Voyage of Demeter, you knew that he was killing all the people one by one, and by the boat crashes. So having other movies fill in those little plot holes for you.
Joe. Good shout, Joe. Me and you just did Demeter. Me and you reviewed it. I completely didn't put that connection together.
Yeah,
that movie is a small chapter in the novel. Yeah.
And I sat there and I'm like, again, you also have to remember Dracula. You can fill in with some of your Dracula knowledge on some of the stuff, because it's basically that he changed a couple of things, but it's still the same story.
Yeah.
So, if you've seen the movie before, if you've read the book, the story, you can fill it in. However, while I'm watching it, I'd rather myself not fill it in and have it filled in for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For me, that's the same thing. When I went in to watch this film, I was a little bit disappointed though when I was like, oh no, this is gonna tell us the story of Dracula again. I thought they were gonna go somewhere completely different. I mean, they switched it up, but the premise is almost like the same. Thomas goes in. He's the guy that Dracula's trying to coerce into signing away the fucking land or the house. But JR, I'm gonna go to you now, man. What you got in your mind?
Well, I mean, this is the thing about this film is, as you're watching, you're gonna constantly think Bram Stoker's Dracula. You're gonna go back to the Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman film.
Then you got that Reinfeld character in there too.
Yeah, they have everything. And the thing too is, Marnell purposely changed a lot of stuff. Like, for example, in the Dracula, there was no rats coming off the ship. There was no plague coming off the ship. So he changed that to give a different presence to the Orlok mystique.
And that was cool. I like that.
And the fact that, the two differences too is, Dracula was the first vampire. Orlok was cursed and was basically by Belial to become an undead and grotesque. So here's a guy who studied witchcraft, who was turned into a vampire by basically a demon and forced to live this way, whereas Dracula was the first of his kind. Yeah. And then, like, when I started watching it, I mean, immediately you get the whole comparison with the two, Yeah, Thomas, who's supposed to be Jonathan Harker,
Yeah.
There was one character that disappointed me the most. I'll talk about it later. I think that casting was kind of ruined some of the film for me. But yeah, like there were certain scenes, like I wanted to know more about the gypsies that he ran into, because there's one scene with the gypsies where I think it's a major error on Edgar's part, and I'm surprised this happened in the film, because it kind of ruined a lot of the mystique of it. Because here you have the gypsies willing to sacrifice a woman who's basically half naked on a horse, but when they get to the coffin, they stake the vampire anyways without having to sacrifice the woman. So I'm like, all right, what was the whole purpose of the woman if they did not need the woman? So small stuff like that, some people might overlook, but for me, that kind of, it alters the story a little too much. It doesn't give reasoning to what they're trying to portray. And then to top it off, there's another scene where if this is another thing about the film in comparison is Bram Stoker's Dracula is highly sexualized, because when the Lucy character in Bram Stoker gets bit, she becomes very like a temptress. Whereas this one, I forgot who was it was the friend that had the two kids that was supposed to be Lucy. And then that scene was totally different because they had to, of course, change it. And I think that's something that lost its luster in this, because when we think of Dracula, we think of the sexualization of Dracula. the women. I mean, the three women. When he's stuck in the castle, I'm sorry. I thought I was like, all right, where's the three female vampires going to come out? And you know, I mean, purposely they were left out. But there's just like certain things in this film that I wish that he would have tweaked up, and this is why. Now, I'll mention later why I think this should be if it was a trilogy or two-parter, it would have served its purpose better. Because just like anything we talk about, when you want to remake something, you want to separate it from the original content and make it your own.
Yeah.
Robert Eggers did it visually. Storyline, I don't think he did it too well, even though the cast, except for one person I'll talk about later, amazing cast.
I'm so curious, man.
Me too.
Tell us.
Lily Rose Depp did an amazing part. I mean, Joe talked in 2024 about, you know, the substance, about Debbie Moore getting a, you know, to give an Oscar performance. Lily Rose Depp did a hell of a job, her portrayal of Ellen in this film. I mean, those seizure moments were amazing. And except one scene, which I'll talk about later, which had me freaking laughing. But yeah, I mean, overall, there are a lot of plot holes in this film, but it's still, to me, an enjoyable film. And it kind of wrapped up the whole 2024 because, like we said it last year, it was the year of the slow burn. And it ended the film with the year with a slow burn.
Let's transition quickly to Orlok, Bill Skarsgård. Let's talk about his performance because I think if anything, this to me was the highlight. I mean, this is one actor that just disappears into this role. Like, if you were to tell me, ask me who plays Dracula, who do you think? I have no idea. And you would tell me Bill Skarsgård, like, no. But then I'd be like, damn, you know what? I could see him fucking losing himself in something like this. Linz, I'm gonna start with you. What are your thoughts on his performance and the character itself? How was he portrayed in your opinion?
Yeah, well, first of all, I love Bill Skarsgård. I think he's kind of cute. And I love how more of his recent characters, really, he's been playing a character that makes him almost unrecognizable. And I went into this film, I did see the trailers, but obviously, like any good trailer should do, they didn't show the monster. So I didn't actually know what part he was playing because I didn't look too deep into who was playing what. So I was going through the movie and I was like, where's Bill? Where's he at? And I was like, oh my goodness, he's the vampire, isn't he? And I'm not surprised. I thought he did great. He was so creepy and eerie, and I love the way that he looked. I know that Eggers was really inspired by folklore in this one, and that's something I really appreciate, because the early folk vampires, they're more depicted as like walking putrid corpses, and he definitely looked like that description. In his clothes were like kind of decomposed, and he was supposed to look like a decomposed version of what like maybe a Hungarian or a Romanian nobleman would have looked like in the 1500s, and I think they accomplished that look pretty well. And also the hairstyle and the facial hair, at first I wasn't sure about the mustache, but then I realized that or I learned that it was inspired by actual paintings from the era, and that Dracula actually does have a mustache in Stoker's text, I believe. Haven't read it, but I think that he is portrayed that way. So I like that they stuck to kind of the accuracy as far as the folklore of it, it seemed like. And like a lot of good adaptations, I like how Eggers took a lot of different inspirations from different movies, different portrayals of Dracula, and he made his own original version with it. And I think that Bill was the perfect person to portray this. Also, I know some people didn't love the voice, like the wheezing and stuff like that, because technically vampires are supposed to be dead corpses. It's like, why are you gasping for your life, basically? But I wasn't bothered by that at all. I actually kind of liked it. It made him a little bit more eerie, and every time you heard his voice, it's like, oh my gosh, he is coming. He's right there. He's so creepy. So loved the portrayal and loved how he looked.
Yeah. Joe, tell me why this when you left the theater, remember you told me that you want to have the same mustache for by next year's stream? You still feel that way?
No.
Nah?
I didn't hate the
Oh.
mustache. It was at first was a little off-putting, but then kind of all right. Well, as Liz was saying, for me was like if he's trying to go realistic here, and he could have had this facial hair. I mean, there's a lot of people who have long beards and long mustache. They just keep getting older, and the body gets frailer, and the mustache is still there. So he could have kept his hair. And I think it's a weird thing because I noticed it on social media that a lot of people were discussing it, and I'm like, the movie was really good, and that's what you're really just gonna focus on. That Orlok had a mustache.
That tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's got people talking about it, but it's just
If
the
that's
most
what
random
people are
thing.
complaining about, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It was a bold move, though, by the way, by Eggers to completely like reinvent this character's image and make it his own.
I mean, because he still looked like the original one, and I love how they, when you guys mentioned the shadows, that he gave the homage to, the shadow scenes that were in the original Nosferatu. And actually, I looked it up real quick because it was the other movie was Nosferatu the Vampire, which was more written by Dracula's, which had Harker and Mina and those, but
That's
those
the one that was
names.
shelved.
No, that one came out.
Oh,
it was called it came out in 1979 with Klaus
but
Kinski.
isn't that the one JR was saying that they tried to get rid of, or no?
No, they wanted to get rid of the original.
Oh, the black. Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so when this one came out,
yeah. Who's the actor Joe that's in that one?
This one was Klaus Kinski.
Klaus Kinski, that's right.
Yeah, and then when you look, it says Nosferatu, but it's Dracula. Count Dracula, they have him in there. And you got Lucy Harker, Jonathan Harker. So that one went by Dracula, the book, whereas the original one, they took inspiration and just called him Nosferatu. Because I don't think I even remember them calling him Count Dracula. It was just Count Orlok. So it But yes, there was a couple scenes, especially when it's close. You had no clue that was Bill under all that, at all. The voice, nothing. So I mean, the man completely disappeared into the role, and I mean, he's been doing this for a while, so it was almost like the perfect villain role for him to play.
Gia, before I throw to you, let me just hit up a comment real quick. This is from Robert Saladino. Loved the other 3 movies by Robert, but I was grossly disappointed with this film. Orlok should have been kept in the shadows more, but I did like his look and Ellen's chemistry with him. And yeah, one more. I went into this movie fresh, didn't know anything about this character. One thing that stuck out to me was the possession. I'm not really a fan of those types of films by Selena. It's the possession. It's funny because Ellen, the character of Ellen, Lily Rose Depp, one of her inspirations especially during the possession scenes, was the performance of the female actress in the movie Possession, the one that has Jesus Christ, the guy from Sam Neill.
Yeah.
So interesting that those two comparisons pop up there. JR, talk about your boy, man.
Listen, Bill Skarsgård is a perfectionist when it comes to this role. I was reading some of the interviews that he was given, and basically he actually went to, I think, a German opera singer to get his voice a little bit. So he would basically make all the sounds and noises while he's on set the whole time, prepping up to do the voice. And the funny thing too is that
master of his craft.
Nobody's seen him with the makeup on till they started filming. So Lily Rose Depp, the scenes they have with him, she didn't know who it was. She didn't even know it was Bill Skarsgård underneath there until basically, obviously after they talked a little bit, during the in between the scenes. But I looked at Bill Skarsgård has been trying to work with Robert Eggers for the longest, and Nosferatu's been in the works for 10 years. And originally, Bill wasn't supposed to play Orlok; he was supposed to play Thomas.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And then when he was going to do the Thomas role, he was going to do the friend. I forgot his name, the one the ship owner. What was it? Hardy? Was it Hardy?
You talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yes, his character.
Yeah.
He was going to do that character, and then it was like no. So then he was like, all right. Eggers called him. Well, guess what? You're doing Orlok. He was, oh, okay. So he just jumped right into the role. I mean, I do agree to somewhat what Robert was saying. Is the scenes where he was in the shadows really were
that opening scene, bro.
Yes.
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Good
I mean,
stuff.
Keep
the
them
curtain.
in. Yes, if they would have kept them in the shadows a little bit more, I think the impact of, because once we seen his appearance, we seen it more and more and more and more, and I think it kind of took away from the appearance a little bit, because now, I mean, I seen one scene, it was a meme, and I started laughing when I seen this because you guys were talking about the mustache. They put his picture with Jim Carrey's character in Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh god!
Like, oh my
god! You took my line.
Oh, you see?
I was gonna say, dude. When I saw this looks like Jim Carrey's Robotnik. What the?
Yeah, they put it. I'm like, oh no.
Don't look it up if you haven't seen it. It'll ruin it for you
Yeah,
because
it will.
it's dead on. If you look at Jim Carrey's performance, his look in the Sonic the Hedgehog films, yeah, dude,
It
it's the
is
same.
dead on. I didn't mind the raspiness, the breathing though, because I do agree it gave a little bit more of the fear and eeriness of the character, especially when he's there with Thomas. Who, I mean, I don't know why Thomas didn't run out of that castle as quick
Thank you,
as
bro.
possible.
If I go in and I see this guy talking to me and he sounds like that, I'm out.
I'm gone.
I'm listening to my wife. I think my wife is right. Let me get out of here.
Yeah, and this is another film where not for nothing, take the advice of your other half because this dude just. Well, anyways, but yeah, I mean, Bill Skarsgård is an amazing actor. I think he's probably one of the greatest actors of our time, and he still has a lot more to go.
Still
And
young guy too, bro.
as far as a horror actor, he is amazing in every single role he's had. I mean, Pennywise the Clown. Go back and watch oh my god, the Stephen King series on Hulu on Castle Rock. If you haven't watched that, he's very good in that one too. But he always has a presence in the fact that here he is, and he's tall too. That's what I think made the
Yeah.
Orlok character.
You
even
know what?
more-
I first seen him in was Hemlock Grove, one of
Yeah.
Netflix's first It wasn't House. It was House of Cards, right? The first
House
one.
of Cards was
Yeah.
the first one.
Hemlock Grove was the
The first
second, I'm
horror.
assuming.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I first saw, and he played a werewolf. in that.
they were. But no,
Yeah.
he's a good character. Orlok, and this is where I'm gonna mention that I feel like we needed more of a backstory of the Orlok character, and the fact that we didn't get it kind of didn't give us that sympathetic feeling for him at the end of the film because we didn't get enough of exactly what happened to him so he got that he became like this. So this is where I feel the reason they were basically had to cut time, but I feel like there was other scenes in the movie they could probably removed in order to give us a little backstory
Yeah.
of the Orlok character, because there's two characters in the film that deserve the backstory. He was one of them. I'll mention another one later, but I think because we lacked the backstory of these two characters, it kind of bogged the film down with the plot holes
Yeah.
that were across the
Yeah,
entire film.
Yeah. Like other than his hands, I think Orlok was less gaunt in this film and more like physically imposing. His stature was pretty impressive too. The killer silhouette, like we mentioned before, like this man, the way they shot them scenes, but nothing other really to add as far as his performance. The voice didn't bother me. I really dug it. It was very creepy, and the sound design that they used, not just for his voice, but throughout the entire film, was incredible. Very atmospheric. It oozes atmosphere. This movie. That's the one thing I would say about it. And yeah, Skarsgård was great. What I really liked about the character. Now the mustache threw me off. As soon as I saw he pops up, he got a mustache. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'll be honest, it took me out of the movie for like a good 10, 15 minutes. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, why does he got a mustache?
You should
Now,
have called it.
in hindsight, going back and like listening to what like you guys are saying about it, yes, maybe there was inspiration. There's a story behind it. So after the movie's over, I go, okay, all right, it's okay. It's not gonna ruin the film for me. It just threw me off. I wasn't expecting that, and he had hair. He had the nice clean part. You know what I'm saying? Like nice combed over. I'm like, what the fuck? Just like a regular. What I liked about it though, and again in hindsight, it made him more human, like more like if this guy's walking around and like owning property and stuff like that, he can't be like some complete monster. Like other than his hands are really like my hands, with long nails essentially and very lanky and stuff. But his rest of his body wasn't as like, it wasn't as like thin as I would expect it to look. But I liked it. His look was great. The mustache was weird. It's just I can't wrap my head around. I'm sorry, but I appreciate it. You know why? 'Cause it's a brave move. It's a brave move. He didn't go traditional. He didn't want to. All right, that's been done to death. Let me add something, and he added more of a human element to the character of Orlok as far as his appearance, because when he kisses Ellen, oh my god, like, oh Jesus Christ, she's really like trying to put in the work to get this guy to to go down. But let's get into our let's No, that's not what I meant, JR. Let's get to our closing thoughts. Whatever else we got left to rave or rant about. I know JR's got a million things. He kept saying, I'll talk about that later. So, but we're gonna start with Linz. Linz, the floor is yours. You've been here before. You know the rating scale, correct? So, awesome. So yeah, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Yeah, well, I just want to touch on a little bit of my critiques because they're the same as your guys's, but a little bit different. Just to touch on the pace, I did think it could have been 20 minutes shorter, like you guys said, but I also think that it was almost too slow in the wrong places and too fast in some of the wrong places as well. So, like, the first half of the movie was a little bit slow. Dare I say boring. But when he starts to come to their town and he brings the plague, like, I really wanted to see that drawn out. I wanted to see the effects of the plague. I wanted to see more of the dread that the people were experiencing because I didn't feel like we got to see that fully. I really wanted to see Lily Rose Depp's character, Ellen, really feel like she doesn't want to do this, but she has to. And I felt like she kind of just like, maybe she wanted to, but it was like I wanted to feel that dread just like further. So I thought it could be slower towards the end, to be honest. But so it was just a little sporadic. That's my main critique for that. And then the other part that I really wanted more of is that central connection. Actually, for me, I really wanted that central connection between Ellen and Count Orlok to be more developed, really. I love that opening scene, but it starts with her saying, "Come to me." I wanted more context. I wanted the why. And then it goes, several years later, and it just kind of seems like, okay, she was having dreams in that time, but I wanted more, like I feel like I just wanted more context and I feel like I didn't get it because after all, that's kind of the core of the movie, if you think about it. So those are my main issues with it. But like I said, I mean, visually, this is just a masterpiece. That's all I have to say about it. And I just was so engaged the whole time, even with the slow pace, the atmospheric ness of it just like made me engage the whole time. So I really did like it. But, unfortunately, I do think that they focused on that a little bit too much. I wouldn't have wanted to see the cinematography any different, but I do think they neglected some things. So I'm going to give it I give it a 4 out of 5. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I think it is a standout movie, but it could have been a smidge better.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. I don't know JR, you're smiling. Go for it.
All right, so these are my critiques of the film, and this is something what I think Liz is talking is the fact that we wanted more of a backstory of Ellen, exactly what is the connection between her and Orlok.
Yeah, that's a good
that
shot.
we're basically teased the whole time in this film, and by not having a flashback or understanding of what exactly is this connection, because you start thinking, all right, was she somebody like a reincarnation of somebody in his past when he was a normal person? What exactly was the connection? And they're so far apart that it was just too much of a massive plot hole that I think it weakened the ending of this film. And then this is why I say it should have been a trilogy. If the first half of the film would have been the buildup of Thomas having to go to Count Orlok's basically to get him to sign the deeds, then the second film could have been the whole flashback with Orlok that would have tied into like the backstory with Ellen as well. So now you get a better understanding of what's going on between what happened to Orlok that he became this way, and exactly the connection between him and Ellen in the second part of this film. The third part of the film would have been basically starting right on the ship with him coming, which you would have had the whole plague scene, like Liz was saying, basically a nice chunk of the third film could have been the whole plague in this whole town.
I did want more of that. Yeah.
Because you're wondering, the first thing you're wondering too is now you had my God, what the hell was the name of Dracula's sidekick? The guy that went crazy.
The Renfield guy.
Renfield guy. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah.
His scenes didn't really.
I hated that guy, by the way.
It didn't really feel like he belonged in the film.
Nah, he was.
And I think
the acting was so, to me, it was bad.
terrible.
Overacting. He overdid it.
No, and
too cartoony. It didn't match the tone of the film, in my opinion.
And you didn't even care about his presence. What the hell was the whole point of him in the film? I mean, there's nothing. Now, this is the one casting choice which I was highly disappointed in. Because every time William Dafoe's character would come on, he just felt like he didn't belong in the film. Because here you got everybody talking in that time period, and he's not. He's literally having a normal conversation with people. And then Priscilla said it best. She goes, every time he was in the scene, it's like he just enjoyed being in the scene.
You know what?
Like,
I attribute his performance as too theatrical, and for this film.
I took it not serious. I took it like he got the role. He was happy.
He was just having fun. Yeah, but his performance was good. But theatrical is what I would call
like,
it. It was
like the scene when they start burning they're burning the castle. He's standing there. Yeah, I mean, dude. And then it ends with him holding a cat, and then you see the silhouette of the mirror, his reflection.
I did like the silhouette. I can't lie.
It was like, this is not the character that should have the last sequence, the last look. But
consider he came in halfway through the film too.
And we're accustomed to Van Helsing, the way Van Helsing's character is portrayed, and his character was nowhere near how Van Helsing should have been portrayed. And then the one scene too, and me and Rick were talking about this, and this is the one scene I laughed in this whole movie, was when Thomas is running his ass off to get back to the house to see Ellen. He walks in the room, and not for nothing. Listen, I don't mean to be mean and stuff, but this dude walked into the room, and yes, I understand his wife had to sacrifice herself, but you walk in a room and here's Nosferatu butt naked, laying on top of your girl, who's still like clinging on to life, and this dude drops on his knees and goes, Ellen. First of all, I would have been pissed. And listen, I know you had to sacrifice yourself, but this is what you just did. Yeah, I'm out, man. I don't need to see this, but
she saved.
She did, but it was just the way it looked. It was freaking hysterical.
See, I thought you were gonna mention like his full frontal nudity part. That's what I thought you were.
No,
gonna
that's the number one topic that's trending on right now. Is full frontal stuff.
Oh man,
like women want to see more of it. It was just this film. I think it would have been better as a longer 3-part trilogy film.
Eggers hasn't made a sequel though. I don't think
he has never done a sequel to anything.
That's not his style, man.
It's not his style, but I think this would have changed. I think this would have put Nosferatu in a different. It would have separated it from Dracula if he would have went down to the whole backstory of Orlok, because we know Nosferatu, the Orlok character, is an interesting character, but we didn't get enough story about the character. We got the story. You had the witchcraft book. There was all you got about it was all right. So she has to sacrifice herself, basically lay him to bed so the sun could hit him. And not for nothing, for a guy like Orlok who's smart and witty, he kind of fell for that a little too easy. And this guy's been surviving for a very long time. So there's a lot of.
You would think he would know what time he needs to be out by, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
No, but he was so in love with that woman, though.
He was in love, but he could have took her to a different room. I gotta be in the room with the windows.
He didn't bother getting up and closing the windows like the shade.
No, he didn't.
He just stood there.
But this is what separates Orlok from Dracula too. Dracula was able to walk in sunlight. Orlok was not. So this is another separation of the actual folklore between the two characters. But for me, I'm gonna say it's a 4. It is I mean, I love Robert Eggers. He always does timepieces. I love how he films timepieces. He's always character driven. I mean, every single film he's done has been character driven. I mean, Anya and the Witch. Then you had basically Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe in The Lighthouse. You had the other Skarsgård brother, Eric. It was Eric, right?
Alexander
Skarsgård in The Northman. Then you had his brother Bill in this one. But yeah, overall it's a 4. Definitely watch it. I agree. It's a masterpiece of cinematography to watch. And if you're a filmmaker who likes horror, this is something you should watch, especially when it comes to the shadows and the lighting and all that stuff. But yeah, 4 for me.
4, all right. Joe the psychologist, drop that knowledge, bro. Drop it.
Well, first, in the original Nosferatu, that's kind of how he died. He was basically lured the same way, and he just went up in a cloud of smoke in that one. So he tried to keep it on the original one to that one, because if you go the Dracula route, then you're really doing Dracula and not Nosferatu.
I like this death in this one, the way he looked. Like,
so guys, don't kill me. I was not a fan of Lily Rose death in the movie. Because
well, don't say you guys, because I'm gonna agree with you on this one.
I agree too.
She was I didn't want to jump on her.
For me, the because of the way that I guess it was edited, to see her slowly, the possession and it overtaking her, and the look changing, which they did from the beginning. But I kind of always felt she looked like the same way throughout the whole movie. So the points where it's overtaking her, oh, you just look a little tired right now. I mean, it wasn't more, but I don't know what it was about her. I just didn't sympathize with her. Like for me, like when it comes to sacrificing your heroine, you're not going to have a final girl, I guess, because we're talking about horror. You want to sympathize with the character, and I was just kind of glad she was dead. like all right, they're both. And then I don't know if it was because the movie was so long that I just was glad we're finally done here, but it was.
No, you're right, because early on, like her performance to me, it was kind of flat. I was like, oh, everyone is so good around her. And then when she starts speaking, it's just like, oh man, she's not at that level. The possessor scenes to me, I think she did good though. She
Yes.
did the contortion stuff and the mannerisms. That's fine. But yeah, go for it, Joe. But you're right. When she died though, the impact wasn't as strong for me as well, because I didn't have that connection with the character.
Yeah,
You're right.
I didn't feel like I felt no sympathy for any of them. Like like not even for Thomas. It was like I'm sitting here, like once the kiss happened, I'm like, is this a fucking love story, really, down
It
to the
is.
bone? Is this
It
what
was.
this is? Like we're really discussing it to basically a love story. This guy's been obsessed with her for so long that he put these machinations together, working with his
Ooh,
company,
I like
buying
that word.
like all this stuff that he wanted to do just to get to her. It seemed like a whole hell of a lot to go through, and then at the same, like, for me, I think like Lynn said, like I couldn't tell if she was just going along with what everybody else was wanting her to do, because ultimately she was wanted to be with him, and she just didn't want to go to guys. Hey, guess what, guys? I honestly want to be with him. We shouldn't even bother with this shit. I'm gonna be with him. Oh, but wait. So if I'm with him though, everybody's gonna die. Oh man. All right. So that was it, and it was probably one of my bigger like flaw in the movie. I'd still like the cast, because again, there was Nicholas Hoult. A couple of things that he did was kind of like, ugh,
So it's more in the writing for that. Right?
yeah, and I can't blame the actors themselves. Yes, the writing and what it was called for them to
That's
do,
okay.
but
I like it when characters are like they're not infallible. I like that. I like it when they're just humans. They make mistakes. They make bad judgment calls.
no, they do. It's
Yeah,
just,
I like that.
Just the reactions in some of the scenes.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
all.
okay.
That's what I mean. It's the reactions. Like JR said, the guy walks in, like, if you walk in and there's a fucking vampire on top of your wife, you're not gonna drop down to your knees. First of all,
Get that
you
dude off
don't
of
know
her,
if
right?
he's dead, so you're gonna grab something and stake him, and then knock him off, and then grab your wife and go, can we save her, guys? Is there anything we can do here now that he's dead?
She was still alive too. Yeah, when they walked.
She
in.
was. That's what
She
I'm.
was. And so
Why
they
not
kinda,
hold her
like-
hand?
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
already like, all right, you're gonna die. Fuck it. So-
But I mean, even though I critiqued on that, it's a 4 for me also, because there's just a lot of other strong points of the movie. It just, again, you guys have, everybody pretty much said the same thing. It's kind of like the pacing threw it off, and then certain actors. I also agree with William Dafoe. Actually, the one point where he was standing there like this and the fire's going on, I'm
That's
like,
what
the
JR said.
fucking hobgoblin is here. Like, is he gonna rise up? On his board? The Green Goblin. I'm sorry, whatever. The Green. Well, I mean, he was acting like the
He
Hobgoblin.
was
at
acting
that
like the
point.
hobgoblin. Yeah.
But like he's standing, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for him to rise up on the board.
He,
and like
he just felt like a cartoon to me. I mean, I didn't hate him, but it
he
was
does
just like
that every once in a while, though.
Yeah,
that is
one second.
of the-
One second. I gotta say hello, Bambina.
Bambina.
Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year.
Hold on, but coming on, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the
Yeah, no,
whole
go ahead.
William Dafoe thing. All right, this is the guy they brought in to investigate this stuff. Who he's Nosferatu. He's talking vampires, and at certain points, they ask him a question. He goes, "I don't know. I gotta go study." Like, dude, you should know all this, man. They brought
Literally
you
the
in
reason
here.
they went to you.
Like when that
study.
dude, when that dude was like, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character was like, "Hey, wait, have you seen this before? No, just in books." He's like,
Hold on. I'm sorry. This is gonna throw off the panel. I'm very sorry whoever's watching, but what the f with the necrophilia scene?
What the
Yeah.
fuck, man? You can say fuck. Don't scare me, bro.
No, I'm just saying, like, was that
Wait,
really,
what scene was this?
was that needed?
No.
Where
That
was
doesn't make
this?
sense
Wait.
to me. When what's his name? Thomas goes and he basically exhumes his wife's body.
It's Thomas's friend, the one that was watching
Yeah, what's his friend?
Ellen, and the wife that got bit, and the kid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Aaron
He was
Taylor-
kissing the
Aaron-
dead body. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
died, yeah.
He did more to.
Did he? I just
Yeah.
saw him that. Well, I'm dead. I'm dying. Let me just kiss my dead wife.
And then
one
they
last
walk
time.
in, they're like, "Oh, let's burn the bodies."
That was weird.
What
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
But how,
Yeah.
all right. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I was just saying, yeah. With
Yeah, finish up. I'm sorry. You were doing your point. You done?
no, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said,
Okay.
I
No,
would
don't-
definitely watch this again.
Mhm.
You know,
I want to see it again. I need to see at least twice. Yeah.
it's these fucking stadium seatings, man. They're too goddamn comfortable. Once you start laying back, I'm gonna keep going back to my old movie theater where you're like upright the whole entire time. It's hard to fall asleep that way. But yeah, listen, and then it's because I'm like sitting there, and then I look over to say something to Adam, and he's like, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm not gonna say nothing to him. So I'm watching the movie, and
While he was
and
out?
I'm like, oh yeah, he nodded out for a little bit. Like I said, I'm like watching it, and I'm like, it's getting really slow. But we're gonna sit up right now. I put my seat up a little bit more. I'm like, all right, we gotta sit up right now.
Sit up.
But it's slow burns are slow burns. You either really love the entire pacing of it, or you're not a fan of it. You know, it's one of those that's where sometimes slow burns are. What's the word I'm looking for here? I think Linz had used it in the beginning too. Where you have difference of opinions. I don't know
You
what
can
it
just
is.
see Joe's brain.
Can't get the fucking word out. It'll come.
Remember?
Right to the end. But it's just everybody has a lot of different opinions. It's the movie's almost
Polarizing.
polarizing. Thank you. I was gonna say divisive, and then I heard I'm like, yep, polarizing. I can see why it's a polarizing movie.
Yeah. The one thing I think you guys touched on it. The one thing I really wanted more of was the plague. What was weird was there's a plague going on, but there's certain these characters acted like if there was nothing going on. Like there's people like in the streets getting carted out, half fucking mutated by now, but they're just like their story. We're just here. They got this vampire thing going on. They're walking willy nilly. I mean, obviously back in those days, they're used to that, So there was everything like now where you gotta mask up and get away. But they're like, oh, I think it's the plague. The doctor's looking at him. This the plague, brother? Get the fuck away from this body. What are you doing? and again, how the hell was I forgot his name too? But Jesus, Quicksilver. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Him. I keep forgetting his character name, but
Right.
But he
Frederick Harding.
Harding. When he got infected, how did he get sick? Like, is it the rats? Is it other people? Because everyone's surrounding each other. So if he's sick, doesn't that mean everyone else should be sick too? It's a plague. It ain't like it's not like getting a cold. A plague is a plague. It's spreading amongst everyone. It's airborne. So this guy's in the car with Willem Dafoe's character. He's in the car with Thomas. He's in the car with Ellen. That little stage car. This guy's sick, but this tiny little. But no one else got sick off of this guy. Like I don't know. But with the rats, I wanted more like with the rats carrying the plague and more about the ship spreading the plague. And it just felt like there was no urgency when it came to the plague. It was like, it's another Tuesday here in Germany. You know what I'm saying? What
If
up,
I
Joe?
can say,
Yeah, go ahead.
So when Thomas showed up and the carriage appeared and the door opened,
Oh yeah.
I would have turned around and went,
That's
Nope.
a red flag already, bro.
nope. It would have been like, this is not happening. I'm out of here. I would have been like, all right,
That reminded me of
I'll put the paperwork in the carriage and a little note with, I'll see you when you come to whatever town.
Yeah.
you're from."
Joe, that reminded me of Black Sunday when the guy picked up the guy in the carriage, and again the guy's driving the fucking thing. Like,
Hold on,
look at this weird motherfucker driving. You're not gonna notice that shit.
even before that, they stole your horse. Why are you gonna go walk to the castle?
That's
They
right.
stole your horse.
That's right.
Get
They,
out.
they didn't want him. They were like, nah, fuck this guy. Leave him here, man. He's gonna fuck us all up. We're out of here.
Yeah.
They stole the poor guy's
The horse, man.
It's like, how did he get? Oh, gypsies cured him. Right? Is that what happened? Yeah, gypsies healed him, right? Because he was sick.
No,
right?
no,
Tom-
Nuns.
no,
Nuns. Who was?
Nuns.
Wait, yeah.
Nuns. And they found him in the riverbank.
Because this shows up
Yeah.
and they
In the
nurse
middle
him
of
back to-
in the middle of winter, after he fell off a building, and he's
got that- you got-
lying on a fucking
That's
mound
right.
of snow.
He was running. That's right. He was. Oh my! He jumped out the windows of those dogs.
Yeah.
That man got some polar bear blood in him, bro.
Something, because that hypothermia would have kicked in well before that.
And he survived an exorcism because that's how I thought they were doing to him when he was at with the nuns. It looked like they were doing an exorcism on him. And all of a sudden he gets up. I gotta go, dude.
Well, because of the bite, because he had
Yeah,
bitten, so
God.
they were trying to basically.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
that dude was an idiot.
Let me just check my notes. Make sure I don't leave
But you
anything
didn't give
out.
your score either.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am complete. Yeah, mine's a 4 as well. It's a 4 out of 5. It would have been lower, but the atmosphere and the cinematography and the sound design, it all goes hand in hand, man. It like you said, this movie was long, a bit of a slog in certain sections, but because it's so nice to look at, you don't realize it until like when again I'm like, damn, there's a lot of story left. This movie feels like it's been going on forever. That's the issue. It's me. I hate long movies, man. I don't. Again, like Lynn said, you could find parts. I guarantee you that does zero to progress the story. You don't need it. You could get rid of it, but yet for some reason it's there. It's just not this movie. A24 in general is like that, man. That's just why. Oh boy, they just like to have the runtime to be some like special feat. Oh, it's a long movie. That must mean it's good. Nah, man, not always.
I got a good question for you guys.
What up?
After you finish watching the film, right? As you're walking out the theater, did at any point in your mind
I went to
you
grab a
think-
beer and get some wings when I got out this theater.
No, at any mind you
Heck
think
yeah.
like what the fuck did I just watch? And you're trying to piece the whole movie together. Did you guys feel like that when you walked out?
Yeah, because the movie
Yeah.
again, it's a visual feast for the eyes, and I'm speaking for myself on this one. Again, when it goes from scene to scene, I'm still thinking about, damn, what a great shot. But then again, you got these two characters talking all this exposition, and it's like, oh my god, wait, what the fuck? Is this all this dialogue needed? And like you said, like once Willem Dafoe's character gets introduced into this film, it just turned into more of a cartoon. Like his performance was theatrical. It wasn't bad, but to me, it just didn't fit the style of Robert Eggers. It didn't feel like a character he would write. Did he write this film?
He did.
Yeah.
He wrote it. Okay. Well, there you go. All right. We're gonna wrap it up. Anything else anyone else wants to add before we go?
I'm good.
Joe, tell us what's coming next week. What's our next live stream, brother?
We are going to be doing Smile 2. So
Yeah, I've been
I
holding
mean-
off. I've been this one. I haven't seen it yet. So.
I haven't watched it yet either. Probably watching it this weekend.
Oh,
I gotta see the first one.
She made that face.
I know.
Haven't watched it yet. Come on.
I know. Well, I so here's the
No,
thing.
there's a reason for. See, I knew what we're gonna cover. I like to watch movies before we watch them. I could watch them a couple of times before, get my thoughts together. Cause I have a very, very bad memory. So if I watch this a month ago, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna be like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna go back and watch it anyway. Cause I seen like maybe 20 movies after that. So
Fair
I speak
enough.
for myself on that though. I just gotta. My retention is not as great. I'm getting old, man. Come on, man. Give me a break, Joe.
I didn't say anything.
I love you, brother. I'm just fucking with you. I'm fucking with you. All right, guys. Well, Linz, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming. You gonna come back?
Yeah, I always have so much fun. Thanks for having me.
All right.
No,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, get in touch. We'll shoot you the schedule sometime. JR and Joe the Psychologist, my two brothers. Thank you very much. I appreciate both of you. Again, Horror Fiend TV, the viewers, Happy New Year. Thank you. And we got a lot of good stuff coming on. A lot of great guests like Lynn's gonna always be coming back and making us look good. We got one
You're gonna
last
see her
comment.
coming back more. We have things in the works. So
Xander, bring Lynn's as a fourth. Look at that. Liz is already. Listen, this is her second time here. She's part of the family already. The next time she comes on, she's not gonna be the special guest anymore. She's gonna be part of the Horror Fiend TV fam. So that's how we roll, right, GR? That's GR's
definitely,
motto,
yeah.
yo.
Yep.
Our channel is it's a comedy. it's a
It's a community
collection.
for everyone. Yes.
Yeah, so of YouTube and any horror content creator that wants to come on, just talk horror, man. That's all we do here. So, with that being said, I'm Ricky Van. Thank you very much, Linz, JR the villain, and Joe the psychologist. I love that hair, brother. Keep it up. With that being said, stay good, stay healthy, but most of all, Happy New Year and stay scared. Drink that beer, but don't drive.